Welcome to For the Long Run, the podcast exploring the why behind what keeps runners running long, strong, and motivated. I'm your host, Jonathan Levitt. I've been running for a few years now and have the privilege of meeting many incredible runners on my travels all across the country. This podcast is intended to share those amazing conversations. This week's podcast is sponsored by Synchronet, powered by Wigwam. Synchronet uses breakthrough technology, creating a truly fitted sock that doesn't slip, and it enhances the performance of a running shoe. They're tight on the arch and heel, which makes it feel snug. Go to synchronet.com, synchronit.com, and enter in the code LONGRUN25 to receive 25% off. I'll be wearing them this spring, and you should too. Enjoy. Welcome back. We are here with another remote podcast. I've got Aliphine Tuliamuk here. Well, I'm in Boston. She's in New Mexico. So, Aliphine, thanks for joining in today.
Thank you. No, thanks for having me.
For sure. So, the first question is, who is Aliphine?
Oh, good question. Well, hi everyone. My name is Aliphine. I am a professional athlete for HOKA Northern Arizona Elite. We train and live in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I also go back and forth between Arizona and New Mexico. I'm originally from Kenya, moved to the United States over 10 years ago to attend college. Started off at Iowa State and transferred to Wichita State. Became professional athlete in 2013. And that's when I moved to New Mexico to train with my former coach, Ryan Bolton, and my former training partner and friend, Caroline Rotich. And then moved on to Flagstaff, Arizona about 2 years ago to join Northern Arizona Elite. And I'm also a badass crochet. Well, I guess I can't really say that out loud because I'm still swamped. And yeah, so I should probably not have said that. But yeah, so that's who I am. Oh, a fun fact, I am one of 32 kids from my dad. My dad is married to 4 wives because, I mean, again, in Kenya, or even most of Africa in general, polygamy is accepted. And so my dad has 32 children. Incredible. There's only 2 of us here because a lot of times people ask me if any of my family is here. I have a younger brother who I just actually dropped off at the airport. So I'm a little sad right now. My throat still gets a little lumpy because I already miss him, even though I just dropped him off like a few minutes ago. But yeah, so that's who I am.
Awesome. It's fun to. So I love the group that you train with. I think I've had 3 or 4 of you on the podcast so far, and the first interview I ever did was with Coach Ben, and we were talking about the training group, and he was like, yeah, one of the things that we focus on is, we're always down for interviews and articles and podcasts. And I was like, oh, podcasts. I was like, do you want to do a podcast? And he was like, right now? You serious? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, Let's do it. So like 20 minutes later, that was my Ben Rosario was the first interview and first episode I released on this one. So
it's incredible.
It's
how long ago was this?
So this was last February, so February of 2019.
Okay, cool.
So what's it like training with a group like Northern Arizona Elite?
I mean, it's like a family, really. And I think as a professional athlete, or even as a human being, the older you get, you crave a group that you feel like you belong. And at Northern Arizona Elite, from the moment I joined the group, I just felt like family, and we all get along pretty well. We all have our, like our priorities, and as far as running is concerned, and then we have our personal priorities. And so it's really cool. I think we have a really good dynamic, and it's really nice and fun to have some of the younger athletes, from college, and, like being able to interact with them and realizing, wow, it's been a while since I came out of college, things have changed, like, or running with them and having listening to some of the conversations that you're like, wait a minute, I can't follow, but no, it's really fun. We have a very dedicated group of people that care about running, care about sharing our journey, to our friends, and care about the community. And we live in a really beautiful, Flagstaff, where there's so many roads to run from. And so we meet almost every day for practice. Honestly, like, I think sometimes it almost feels like we are back in college, where we used to meet a lot for practice, which is cool, because especially for somebody like me, sometimes I'm somebody who doesn't like get up and go run. I mean, right now it's noon. I'm supposed to do my long run for this week is 8 miles. I haven't even ran. I'm not sure when I'm gonna run yet. I'm in my car. And the only reason I'm in my car was because I was like, if I go home now, I may not run until about 6:30 p.m. And so having a group like Northern Arizona Elite who, we meet almost every day, we are accountable for each other, is incredible, and especially like, that was definitely very apparent when we were training for the Olympic trials, because we had three women. The three of us, Stephanie and Kellen and I, were training together. We were able to lift each other up, help each other whenever the other person wasn't feeling great, and take the load and stuff. So it was really nice, and I'm definitely very blessed to have a group like Northern Arizona Elite.
So there is an incredible photo of the three of you at the finish line at the Olympic trials. What was that moment like, seeing Stephanie and Kellen right there with you as you cross that finish line, or soon after you cross that finish line?
In that moment, actually, I think I was just I don't think I was consciously doing things. I was just like going with the flow. I was in like basically cloud nine. I was just like, it just happened, because in general that's who I am, like in terms of hugging my teammates, or like especially when we have a team competition. And it happened a few times in Boulder, but especially that day, at the Olympic trials, it was such a different stage for me. I mean, I always knew that I wanted to go to the Olympics. I knew that I was very fit and very strong, and the course in a way kind of favored me, because I run really well on hard courses. But you can never be too sure of doing well, and then to be able to not only go there and make the team, but actually win the race, like you finish and you're in a really completely different world. And so when when I saw Stephanie and Kellen, I don't know, I actually don't remember doing this, but I just went over to them and hugged them, and that was the first time that I actually broke down and cried. And I think I've seen a video of it, just me just sobbing, and it's like but it was incredible. We were just, talking to each other and, congratulating each other and saying we did it. They were very happy for me, even though they were very disappointed at the same time that they didn't achieve what they set out to do, but they were definitely very happy for me. And that was definitely a really, really incredible moment and a powerful one. Looking back now, I've watched the race 3 times, and every time we get to that part, I actually have rewinded several times, and it does make me tear up, it makes me cry. Of course, and I cried again in that moment. So I guess I did realize just how powerful that moment was. But yeah, like I wasn't like it's weird to think that I wasn't living in that moment, yet I cried, and like every time I watch it, I still cry. So yeah, like it's just different how you think you're gonna feel in a moment like that, and how you actually feel. But it definitely was a powerful moment, and especially hearing it from a lot of people who like are super emotional watching that, it definitely just does tell you that it was definitely a powerful moment.
For sure. So I had a conversation on this podcast with Shalane earlier this week, and we were talking about her running New York. And I wanted to know what it was like running down Fifth Avenue and through the park into the finish line. And she was like, it was this weird balance between I want this moment to last forever and split between like get on your horse and get moving so you don't lose it.
Yeah.
What were you thinking about in those last miles? And when did you realize that it was your day?
I have thought about this a lot. I've tried to analyze this, but honestly, I don't remember a whole lot. Those last few miles, like it still feels like a dream to me. Like a lot of times I feel like I'm going to wake out of, like it's just like I get like I've watched, like I said, I've watched the race 3 times. I get super excited when it's time to watch the race. By the time the broadcast is over, I'm lost. I am lost every time. It feels like I'm in that race, but it's yeah. Like I mean, I think I only knew, and I wasn't 100% sure that it was my day until really like maybe about 200, 150 meters to go when I was going down. Once I was in the park, but like I think it was a unique race in the sense that there were so many good athletes that were ahead of me. And so even though I was super excited and knew that I was fit, I don't think like I believe like I don't know. I think I kind of told myself that there's a chance that's very, very like a really big opportunity coming, and there's a high probability that I will make the team. But I'm not sure though that I really knew what winning will mean, or that I
Mhm.
even spent a lot of time thinking about that. I think I did a really good job during this build-up of just crocheting my way through, the build-up and not thinking too much. And actually, I think I've done the same thing even like post, the Olympic trials, just crocheting my way through this life. And so I don't know, like I never like I'm trying to process it, but I'm not sure if I'm actually processing it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I keep going back to that moment, like, how did I feel? But I feel like I'm dreaming. So it's strange. I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah,
Sure.
yeah, like I've had races where like, like I know that I'm winning and I start enjoying it and stuff. Like you said with Chilean saying, I want this moment to last forever. But this was not that. It was just, yeah, I'm still trying to process it. I believe like I still feel like I wasn't in the race. It seems like, yet I was.
Sure. Um, what was it like running with Molly? It looked like you guys were chatting quite a lot.
Molly Seidel, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yes. I mean, we were just encouraging each other, but it was really nice. Here you have this incredible athlete that is very talented who is just debuting in her first marathon, and I mean, I think in the beginning I was like, wow, Molly is actually leading. And this is when I was drafting off of other people. And I'm thinking she's having a great day. Cause so when we were training for the marathon, this must have been early January or something. Stephanie Kellen and I were out on a long run. And then Stephanie mentioned, she said, oh, I heard that somebody, is debuting in Houston. I don't know exactly who it was. And then I think later on she was like, Molly Seidel. And I remember hearing it, but I don't think I even like thought about it much. And then we ran a Houston half marathon and she was in incredible shape. I mean, she ran really, really well. And that was only like a second half marathon. But to see her in front of that pack late in the race, that was awesome. And then like when she took the lead with about what I think we were about 20 and a half or 21 miles, I just followed her and it was really cool, to be able to run with her. And, I think at some point I kind of got conscious of the fact that she has not run a marathon. And I definitely wanted to make sure that we were able to run together because I knew that the best way for us to make the team was, to help each other. And so we did have, it wasn't necessarily a conversation, but just, like encouraging. I was probably doing all the talking or most of the talking because I talk a lot. So, I was just like, come on, Molly, you can do this. And at some point she was like, I'm okay. And that made me feel good. So it was really nice to run with her, to run with someone that I had only run 2 other times. Like, we met up a couple times in Flagstaff. Actually, no, we met up one time, like 2 years ago. And then I ran into her during this build up when she was doing, her evening run. And then I joined her and one of our other friends in Flagstaff, and I just ran with her. But it was really nice to be able to run with her. And knowing that we met the team together, that was awesome. Like by helping each other, we were able to pull away and win 1-2. That's awesome. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
have asked for a better person to run with.
I love that. It wasn't like we're going to try and crush each other. It was like we're doing this
No.
together and we're going to feel good about it. So
Yeah.
your teammate Scott Fauble has said in the past that if we don't define ourselves by our failures, why do we or should we define ourselves by our successes? So I feel like it's part of it's part of the approach with Northern Arizona Elite where it's a race is just a data point. It's not the end all, and it's not the most important piece of the puzzle. What's your take on that, and how does that work into how you processed it and how you are processing it going forward?
I mean, I guess for me, I like to think that I'm an all-rounded athlete, like a person actually. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just an athlete, and therefore, like, yes, I'm hoping to be an Olympian if we actually make it to the Olympics with this craziness happening. But I don't think it excites me to think that, oh my God, I am actually gonna be an Olympian. It
Mm-hmm.
makes me very excited. I mean, it's something that I've been working for and hoping that it will happen. But the fact that it has now happened, it makes me very excited to know that I'm going to have a chance to hopefully represent my country, represent myself at the biggest stage of our sport. But again, it doesn't define who I am. Like, since I came back, I have not changed. Nothing in me has changed other than the fact that, in the back of my mind, I know that I won the Olympic trials, and maybe my bank account changed a little bit, and gave me, flexibility. But, as far as me being Alphine, nothing has changed, how I feel about people, how I feel about my friends, nothing has changed. And so in that sense, then, it doesn't completely define me. But again, running is a very crucial part of my life. I mean, running is really like almost everything, really, because my life revolves around running. So in a way, it does define me. But again, it doesn't completely define me. And so, like, I handle it well. Like, when I see people and people get excited, sometimes it takes me a second to be like, why are these people excited? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, because I'm going to be an Olympian, And so, no, like, I do agree, with what Scott said. I mean, like, running for professional athletes is our job. And just like anyone else, like, you have your personal life and you have your work life. You can't really let your work life completely define who you are, or like, I think you have to have a balance. And for me, like, I like to, I love my crochet. I want to define myself as somebody who likes to crochet, somebody who likes to, like, hang out with her friends, except when I'm being lazy, which is a lot of the time. Somebody who is very outgoing and, can relate with a lot of people. That's, how I define myself, not just as an athlete.
Cool.
And I think most of my teammates actually feel the same way, especially, those of us, the marathoners, or, those of us who are a little bit older, because again, I feel like the older you get, the more you actually, like, you kind of branch out a little bit, because you're starting to think about the future. How do you want your future to be? How would you want people to, like, remember you? And so I feel like that those of us who are older in the team definitely feel this way. I mean, the younger athletes, I mean, I'm probably sure that most of them are just, like, it's running or nothing. But the older you get, I feel, because I was like that too when I was younger, like, all I wanted to do was run, and win, win, win. But now it's like, there's a lot more things to life. And it's interesting because I remember a podcast that we did a couple of days before the race, on Lindsay Hine, I will have another. I was just telling her, I said, like, in the grand scheme of things, sports, running and sports is not really that big. And then she's like, and this is a woman saying this 2 days before the Olympic trials. And I'm like, well, don't get me wrong. I am very focused on that. But I'm just saying that life in general is big. There's more to life than just sports, and I think it's important for people to realize that. That way, when that door or chapter of your life comes to an end, or getting close to an end, you have other things that are important too. That's how I like to see myself or think of myself as.
Cool. So you mentioned running in sports is not that big in the grand scheme of things. I think that that can be interpreted in two ways. One, it's like, if you don't have a good run, that's okay. It's not the most meaningful thing. But then there's the side of it where, like, you and your teammates have tons of fans that are really invested in your journey and your success, or the ups and downs, and most of those people will never meet you, and they'll never have a face-to-face conversation, but they're still massive supporters because you've allowed them to come along in the journey. And I think that one of the coolest things about the Olympic trials this year in particular I think that it was sort of like everybody here is here to do their best. And I felt particularly motivated. I know all my friends felt particularly motivated. I'll never run a marathon within 30 minutes of what some of the athletes are doing, but I feel motivated to try my best and get the best out of what I can do, because I see the ups and downs, and I see the successes and failures or setbacks that athletes like yourself have. So while I definitely agree that sports aren't everything, I think that especially in a time like this, it can be even more important than it's more than there people say it's more than sports. It's like you take the lessons you learn in sport and translate that to your life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like one of my posts not too long ago was, now is the time for anyone who ever thought about running to run, because we are going through a really difficult time, in the whole world. It's not just us athletes, it's not just us professional athletes. And for me, again, even though I said that running is not everything in the grand scheme of things, but again, running is something that is a part of me, not just as my job. Running is something that I need. I need in my life, honestly. Like I like just like anyone else, running is a stress reliever. Running can bring people together. And right now, I think I've seen, a couple posts from people saying that it's incredible how many people they've seen in their neighborhood running, like
Yeah.
more than ever. I think somebody posted saying that running is booming. Running is something that can bring people together. And this is the thing I love about running. Like, it's not for one person, it's for everyone. It doesn't matter what sport you play. Running brings you together. When I go to races, for example, like New York City Marathon or even the Olympic trials, seeing like so many people, come together to cheer you or racing, like it's just like, or like say for example something like New York City Marathon or Boston Marathon, runners of all ages and abilities are out there running, just doing this one thing that we all love. I think this is the aspect of running that just it unites people.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
especially at a time like that, like now, running is a stress reliever for me. Like, even though, I mean, nothing has changed really much in my life in terms of, because of what's going on, because I'm still running, I'm still crocheting. But I know that if I wasn't running, I'll be going through a lot of stress. And even like right now, I just thinking that there's a chance that I may never be an Olympian. There's a chance that Tokyo Olympics may not happen because of, the virus. Running is something that if I'm feeling that way before my run and I go out and run, I come home and I'm refreshed. Like I just feel good about myself just because of, what the runner's high. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's something that a lot of people can definitely, like use at
For
times
sure.
like this. Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like running and winning are completely different things. Like all of us, and like we have our own, like you run to win in your own special way. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about, at the end of the day, it's not all about the medal. Like if say for example my gold race was canceled, I'm not going to stop running because my race was canceled. I'm going to run for the love of running.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, I love it. So originally we got connected from a tweet that you were replying to from a mutual friend, Erin Strout, and she was tweeting about the why and reevaluating, why we run, and
Mm-hmm.
I think she was curious about how amateurs and pros are dealing with a time like this. And what you replied with was, I think that it does apply to pros. It can be hard to get excited about runs or workouts without a clear goal in these uncertain times. I finally asked myself why I truly run for a long time. So knowing that my goal with this podcast is that exact question, exploring that and understanding the ever evolving why that we have. So let's move back a few years. Why did you go for your first run? Do you remember?
Well, my very, very first run was just, like I grew up in Kenya and running was a way of life. And so I ran to school. Basically, that's how I ended up running. like, run to school, run back home. So that is probably how I started my first run, or maybe even like running to go get something that my mother asked me to go get, like maybe like going to fetch water in the river, from the river, or going to get some firewood. That's how, like, it's a way of life from like where I grew up. Yeah.
Cool. And at what point did you realize this, you were pretty good at it?
About when I was in like fourth grade, so about 10. and I only realized that because I started representing my school, and I met a distant uncle, a distant relative, who encouraged me and told me that I had a talent. And I really loved, quite frankly, I loved being able to travel to other schools and competing, and I was winning them. So that was when I knew that I had it. But really, when I think about the training aspect of it, I was in fifth grade back in 2001 is when I started training actively to pursue running. And I honestly didn't even know that running was something that I needed so much until, like just a few years ago when I'm an adult. But to begin with, I just ran because it's something that I was talented, and I was just, it was a way of life. But then while doing, or while going about my life, like some other people discovered that I had a talent, and, they encouraged me to pursue it.
And how did that joy, or how did that feeling evolve over time from 2001 to 2013 and beyond?
In the beginning, I mean, it was really nice to be able to travel to, different places. Like, okay, so I grew up in a very small town. Like most of us hadn't even seen a pavement. We used to hear like a pavement, the way pavement looks, because we only had like dirt road. I pretty much actually had one dirt road that just goes, one direction, like just, like say northeast, I mean, north south. And so none of us had ever seen, like a pavement. And through running, I was able to travel, and I got so much joy from coming back and telling people what other places look like. It was really cool. And then like learning more about running, learning that you could actually make running a job was something that really I wanted to do, because again, I mean, I grew up from a big family, and, with rationing of resources, it wasn't enough for all of us. And to be able to travel and come back and buy my sister a dress, or buy my mom, like a couple utensils, that was something that felt very rewarding to me. And I definitely wanted to continue to pursue it.
Does that still humble you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's this morning my brother and I were talking about how far we've come. And we were just talking like things that things that I don't usually remember, but I remember when we were younger, there were times where like we didn't even have like a good knife to cut stuff with. Like we used to have like an old machete, and we will use that. Like my mom will sharpen that, to use it to cut, like our vegetables or anything that we had. There were times where we didn't even have good cups. Like we were just talking about how like we will take so our cups will have holes, and we will take a polythene bag and like put it through the cup, and then burn both sides of the cup, so that like the burnt part will like seal it. And then that's how we would like use that cup to drink our milk or to drink our tea or water. And we were just talking about that this morning, just how like it humbles me, and it makes me happy to know that even though I've come a long way, we've both come a long way, we are still very humble. Like I said, after winning the Olympic trials, like I'm doing okay for myself, and none of that has changed who I am and who I am at core, because living that kind of life, the humble life that I had, makes me appreciate where I am today, and definitely humbles me.
Is gratitude something that you intentionally practice?
I don't actually think that I have to intentionally practice it. I think it's just something that comes out naturally from me. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. How does that, beyond conversations with your brother or other family members, how does that present itself?
I mean, for me, like I've had a lot of people help me, get to where I am. And the way for me to show my gratitude is to try to help someone else who is in the same situation that I was in. which is in the form of simple things. Like, for example, when I go home, like I take out shoes that I like, my lightly, gently used shoes. I take home all my finishers t-shirts and give it to those young kids that are trying to, like just like I was a few years ago, trying to get into running. Or even the people that helped me along the way. I mean, we all have things pop up in life, and they'll call me regardless of what's going on in my life. If they really need something, like say in terms of financial help, I've always been there to help them. Everybody that has helped me growing up, because I want to show my appreciation for what they did for me, because without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. I don't know who I would be today. And because of all their help, it's gotten me to where I am today, and I'm in a position to help them and also help my family. And that to me, and even like simple things like advices, being able to give somebody an advice is something that I think we don't think, a lot of times we don't realize just how impactful that can be. And so whenever I can, I try to inspire people, through running, try to give a kid a piece of advice, and if they're willing to listen and follow their goals, that could help someone.
Are these things you think about when workouts get tough?
Not necessarily, no. No, when I'm actually working out, I normally don't think about other things in my life. I have tried, but it gives me anxiety. It stresses me out so much that I don't like do well. Yeah, I think
Got
about
it.
these things when I'm not, mostly when I'm not actually running, so that I hope that I remind myself that it's ingrained in me, so that when I'm working out, like even though I don't actively like go digging it out, but it's there. And so it will keep me grounded and keep me going. So I
Cool.
hope it does help.
I'm sure it does. One of the things that I loved about what you were sharing after the trials was you were posting that you hadn't run in a couple weeks. I think that a lot of amateurs need to see that, and they need to see that pros are not jumping back into workouts. And I think it was a podcast that Ben did. I can't remember who it was with. I think it was Mario Fraioli, and he was talking about. I think it was after New York City, and I can't remember the athlete it was, but Ben was saying that athlete took like 3 or 4 days off or 5 days off, and he's like, "Look, if there was anything to be gained by running the next day, don't you think that
Yeah.
they would be doing it? Like it's their job." So kudos to you guys for not only doing it but talking about doing it. What was it like taking that much time off?
It was good. It was good. But then again, and it almost feels like an excuse now that I've talked about it a lot, honestly. I came back from the trials. I had 179 orders of beanies and headbands. And when I talk about orders, I mean, it's not exactly how many were ordered. Like an order probably
It's a
had
number
four
of
or
orders.
five.
Wow.
Yes. And so I came home, and because I didn't really have this inventory, my job was to sit down and start making them. And I'm still behind, I'm like, I still have 100 and I still have 89 orders to fulfill. I mean, I have some that I actually have to ship this week. Hopefully it will come down to 60. But like, I think I came back honestly, and all my downtime, I was just sitting down and crocheting. Like, it's crazy. And this is probably why I feel like I haven't processed everything, because I haven't really, like, usually, like I'll come home, I don't have anything else that I need to do. But because people already paid money for this, like there was no way I could have just taken a day and said, oh, I'm not going to crochet, I'm just going to have a good time. I have not done that because I want to continue to be transparent, and I promise people to deliver their what they bought, and I haven't delivered that. And I mean, I keep getting messages saying, hey, my order was supposed to be delivered like on the 6th. When am I going to get it? And then I have to go through the orders that I still have. And I'm like, oh crap, who? Okay, Ceci, what's your name? And be like, okay, hey, maybe I can, work on this and get you this next week. But, like, other than that, I know that I did rest, because when I started back running again, on Sunday, oh, it was hard. Oh my gosh, it was really hard. And I'm like, it's only been 14 days, but my body definitely remembered it, like that day. And the next day my calves were on fire, and like I was struggling to breathe, and I still am, because I ran with my brother the first day, and we were running like 9:25 pace at that point, and I'm like, I can't speak. I'm struggling to speak. And it's fine because 3 or 4 days after or later, I'm able to like still have a little conversation and my body is getting used to it. But I think it's important to take time off. Training for a marathon takes a lot, emotionally and, like physically. And you need your body to recover. As I've gotten older, I think this is the first time, if I'm being honest, this is the first time that I took complete 14 days off. Usually I will take by day 9, I'm losing my mind. I'm like, I gotta go run because I don't have a whole lot going on. And I think one of the reasons why I was able to take 14 days off, without worrying about anything, this again goes back to crocheting because I was always busy. But it felt great, knowing that I've taken 14 days off. And I think I came off the trials, and I told myself, I said, okay, I ran New York City Marathon. That was like 4 months ago. I just ran a marathon now. I don't have my next marathon until August 8th, which is the Olympics. And so I am going to take the time that I need to let my body recover because I know that I'm not going to lose fitness. And so I need, because the thing that I need to have is to get to that start line healthy. And so I think for any athlete, like it doesn't matter, like what your ability is, time off is important. It's important, for your health, for sure.
Physical and I mean,
like,
sure.
yeah. And like I ran for 4 days and then the 5th day, I'm like, I found excuses not to run and I ended up not running and I didn't feel bad about it. I mean, I did feel guilty. Honestly, a lot of people, I was like, nah, I'm going to be fine. And yesterday I ran and I'm like, see, I don't feel guilty anymore, because I guess for me, it's like, if I have a scheduled training and I don't do it, I do feel a little guilty, especially if it's just one run, but it's okay to take a day off here and there, even after the 14 days off. One day is better. I think I've learned that taking a day off is so much better than running through a burnout or running through pain and making it worse.
For sure. So how are you approaching the next few weeks and months with a little uncertainty with the Olympic trials or with the Olympics?
I mean, I'm just going to continue to run. I don't really know what's going to happen. And, races are being canceled, like every day. I mean, I think last week a lot of races were canceled. And in the back of my mind, I know that there's a chance that, the race could be postponed or could be canceled. There's a chance that that will happen. And that's something that we all will have to deal with. And so at this point, I'm just going to continue to follow, the schedule that I have, and just hope, that we can get through this virus as quick as possible and get back to our normal lives. Because again, I mean, I think I have also come to the conclusion that, yes, this is hard. I know that I may never I know that it may not happen, but I also know that I am in a better place compared to a lot of my friends, who still have to go run an Olympic trials qualifications for the track. I already have, like my spot to go to the Olympics. I just need to be told that the Olympics are happening. But then there are people who still have to run the qualification for the trials and then go run the trials. So I remind myself that every day that you are in a better place. You should be the last person complaining. It doesn't mean that I can't worry about it. But, hey, there's nothing we can do. And I'm trying not to worry about things that I can't do anything about it. I mean, the whole world, the whole world is going through it. And it's probably easier for me now, just because I don't have a whole lot of time to think through it and feel sorry for myself. But I'm hoping that, I can continue to have this perspective of, what is going to happen is going to happen, which is what's important and a priority is being healthy, our
For
health.
sure.
And I know that there are so many people, who are going through a hard time in terms of they've lost loved ones, through from this disease. And so we just gotta stick together and, come together and help each other and pray for each other, and yes, there's a lot of uncertainties, but I'll just use the running that I've talked about as an escape, and I'll just continue to use it as an escape. And thank goodness for my crocheting. It's also another good escape for me.
Cool. Switching gears a little bit. One race you mentioned, Boulder. You've done a couple times. Talk about a community and team atmosphere. What's that? What has that been like?
It's been awesome. Like so the first time I ran Boulder, and even the second time was, oh gosh, you come into that stadium. And I was like, this is like the Olympics. Not that I know what the Olympics feels like, but you run this race that is so hard. And then you come into the stadium and you're refreshed because the crowds are going crazy cheering. That's one of the races that I really like. I mean, if I had it my way, I would definitely go back over and over and over, because it's such a great organization. You know, they've done such a good job, and like it's also another good environment to, you know, be part of a team. And I really love that aspect of it. You know, like you finish, you wait for your teammates, and you hope they did well. And I just like it. And it's an altitude. Not a lot of people can do well in altitude. It's lucky for me, I've been able to do well. And to see that on, like, you know, like the beginning of summer, everybody just out there grinding since 6 a.m., working hard. I love it. I mean, it's really cool. It's
Cool.
what road racing is all about.
Yes, I've done it a couple times, and it's super fun. What do you wish people knew about you?
What do I wish people knew about me? Wow. Is there something that people haven't already like heard about me? I'm an open book. No, I think that I want people to continue to know, you know, how grateful I am to have running as my job and to have so many people support me. And I want people to know that I cannot wait. And I you know, I'm looking forward to representing my country. Hopefully, whenever, you know, the Tokyo Olympics happen, I cannot wait to represent USA, because I have so many people that have supported me, people that I didn't even know were my supporters, and I cannot wait, you know, to represent them and represent them well. I also want people to know that, you know, like, I'm grateful about being an American. I'm grateful about representing America, but I'm also grateful about being a Kenyan American, because it's that heritage. It's that life that I had, you know, when I was growing up in Kenya, that made me the person that I am today, that made me the grateful person that I am today. So yeah, I want people to know that I am grateful for being a Kenyan American, really, and embracing both, you know, like cultures very strongly, and appreciating it.
Cool. So Flagstaff is a popular location for runners and anyone looking for a good time outside. What are some of your favorite spots in and around town?
Do you know, have you been to Flagstaff?
Yeah, a couple times.
Oh yeah, I love Woody Mountain Road. It's one of the roads that is kind of hard to run in, actually, because there's a lot of ups and downs, and there's a really long hill. I really love running on Woody Mountain Road. I love running on mailboxes, and obviously Lake Mary. My goodness, I mean, we do a lot of our marathon specifics on Lake Mary. It is just amazing. And I love A1 Mountain. I mean, I actually like all the hard roads in Flagstaff. Anything that has ups and downs, that's my go-to place.
Cool.
And so like it's, and then of course Buffalo Park. I mean, it's basically like I love
there are crazy, yeah.
Right, yeah, it's crazy. Like you take pictures and then you look at them and be like, "Wait, is this really Buffalo Park?" It's beautiful. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah, there's just so many trails in Flagstaff to explore. Like even I've been there for over 2 years. Honestly, there's a lot of roads that I haven't ran, and my teammates are like, "Oh, we went here, and I'm like, "Where was I?" Yeah.
What about restaurants?
Oh, Diablo Burger for sure. Annex, I really, so I am not very open-minded when it comes to food. So I definitely like Diablo Burger. I like going to Annex and having the Annex Burger, because I think it's really good. I like the Flagstaff Terror. Is that Terror? It's you know, just have really good wine. Yeah, I don't go out a lot though. So those are the couple that I like going out to.
I went to Diablo Burger for the first time in October, and I think I've had dreams about that burger that I had. It was
really?
So good.
That's good. Yeah, one of my teammates works there. It is so good. It's yeah. Cool. I don't go out a lot, but I definitely like going there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining in today and sharing some of your thoughts. If we want to follow along with your journey, where can we find you on social media?
Mostly I post mostly on Instagram, which is Aliphine Tuliamuk. Basically, if you search my name, Aliphine Tuliamuk, you should be able to find it. And on Twitter, at Aliphine Tuliamuk, just Aliphine Tuliamuk without a K at the end. So those are the two social media accounts that I'm pretty active in. Yeah, continue following, and I'll try to post as much as possible and be as real as possible.
Awesome. Aliphine, thanks so much for joining today and for all you do for the running community.
Of course. No, thank you for having me, and you have yourself a beautiful weekend.
Thanks. You too.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks again to Synchronet for sponsoring this week's podcast. Synchronet uses breakthrough technology, creating a truly fitted sock that doesn't slip in your shoe and enhances the performance of a running shoe. They're tight on the arch and heel, which makes it feel snug. As a reminder, you can use the code LONGRUN25 to receive 25% off your first order at synchronet.com. That's SYNCHROKNIT.com. I'll be wearing them this spring, and you should too. That's it for today's episode. Like many long runs, it's sad when it has to end. I hope you join in next week on For the Long Run, and in the meantime, happy trails. If you've enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot to me if you shared it so that others can find it and enjoy it too.